Hey guys, my name is Feather, and so tonight we have another event
Hey
series
guys, my
that
name is
we're yeah,
Feather,
yeah.
and
So tonight, every time I do that, um, we are going to be hearing some stories of hope for cancer warriors and cancer survivors. And tonight, Natalie Irby is going to start us off.
thank you, Feather. Awesome. I'm so glad that I was able to join this evening. This topic is very, very near and dear to my heart. And this is not my story. I am not a cancer survivor. I'm actually speaking on my husband's story, and I'm just super blessed to share it. So, we're here to talk about hope and the help of whole food nutrition to heal your body, especially when you're going through a diagnosis of cancer. So my story might be a little bit different than everyone else's, because our journey, my husband was actually a two-time testicular cancer patient. So he was diagnosed twice, once 22 years ago, because it was first in 2000 and then 5 years later. And with that being said, so we're talking over 17 years ago, the last diagnosis, and we were not on Juice Plus at the time. So our journey is just a little bit different. And I want to explain to you how I feel the benefits of whole food nutrition could have totally changed his journey. So um, we were young. We were in college. We were actually getting ready to graduate whenever he was diagnosed. He was diagnosed in March. We were graduating that beginning of May of that same year. So his cancer was stage 3. It had already moved from the testicle to the stomach, abdomen to the chest. The last place for that particular pattern was the brain and had not gotten that far. But because it was stage 3 and highly aggressive, he had to quit school right then and there. We were able to finish him by correspondence because we were so close to graduating. But he went straight into the hospital. So he was under MD Anderson's care, and for 8 months straight, he was had a lot of chemo in his body. He actually was hospitalized 5 days a week with a constant drip. So he didn't leave when his treatments were administered. He was there for the duration of those 5 days. And then after that, it was one set of drugs. And then assumingly he would have a 2 week break, and assumingly that his body could handle it and his white blood count was high enough, he would go in for another 5 days with the second set of drugs. So they were alternating two different kinds, and each one had its horrific side effects. One was where he was so sick, throwing up constantly with nausea. And the other one was where he would get so many mouth sores in his mouth and down his throat. But the point of it is that either one were not pleasant, but either way, he had no intention of eating. He did not want to eat, and rightfully so. He was very, very sick. Actually, his doctors at MD Anderson told us they were literally going to kill him and bring him back to life. And that's exactly what they did. So he was hit very, very hard. So with that being said, I can remember, guys, literally watching him waste away. Of course, you lose the hair, and that's hard enough to see that washing down the drain. But his body was wasting away, and he had lost probably about 35 pounds at this time. But I can remember meeting with him, and I would just beg him. I was like, please, can you take a bite of food? Can you please drink some water? And none of that was important to him at the time because he was very, very sick. And so with that being said, there was no easy way for us to get nutrition into his body. And so now, fast forward, here we are, and we have been on the Juice Plus or whole food nutrition products for 10 years, 10 plus years now. And I think about how different that would have changed his entire journey had he been on it. And that is why I choose to share Juice Plus, was his journey. Because at MD Anderson, we participated in many studies while he was there because he was there so much. And I clearly remember a 9-page questionnaire that asks specifically about food: what we eat, where do we get it, do we grow it, do we eat green beans in a can that can sit on the shelf for 3 years. It was page after page, question after question about food. And I was like, Brent, there's got to be a direct correlation between the cancers they're seeing and the foods we're putting in our body. I was very evident, that was clear to me. And so we realized right then and there how important food was. So MD Anderson really, really worked with us about needing to eat a lot of whole food, a lot of green leafy vegetables. Matter of fact, if you look on their website today, you'll see images that talk about 50% of cancers can be avoided if you eat just whole food and a lot of plants in your diet. So whenever I came across Juice Plus, actually it wasn't me, my husband was introduced to it. And like any good husband, the samples in the brochure he had gotten sat in his truck for probably 3 months before he brought it out and he showed it to me. But when I opened it up and I saw different things like the words whole food nutrition, and I saw things like university studies, over 40 plus medical journals, and MD Anderson was one of the studying facilities, it was like a light bulb that clicked for me. And I thought, this is exactly what we need in our life. So the Juice Plus, if you hear the word plus and Juice Plus, it's because they not only just take the juice of the product, they literally pulverize all parts of the plant when they can, as much of the outer, the top, the core, the seeds, the leaves, everything is basically vine ripened by our growers. And then they pick their produce they're growing, and it's like a big pulverizing system. They just pulverize it all down where all the parts of the plant are in there. And that's where your highest level of nutrition comes in. Plus you're getting it in a very wide variety of over 30 fruits, vegetables, and berries every time you take it. And so it's been a game changer for us. It has helped us through all of our 4 kiddos, and we give it to them daily. We're so blessed that our company has what's called a Healthy Starts for Families program, where with our adult order, we sponsor a child for free. So our kids have never had to pay to have their Juice Plus nutrition daily. But I have the peace of mind that as a mom, we grab they're in a little chewable form or they're in a capsule form. And the majority of our family eats the chewables, but it's just a peace of mind to me that I can see everything they're eating in variety in such high quality and such colors. So with that being said, we have a variety of small product line, which I'm very appreciative of. But if I think back to his cancer journey, and I think what a difference it would have been for me to be able to either give him chewies to eat, or if that wasn't going to work, I could have peeled open capsules and poured that produce powder right into something maybe like a smoothie or applesauce or yogurt, or something that he could have gotten into his system. And I know without a doubt, his journey would have looked much different. So that has been my passion, because it has kept our family so healthy. The 4 kiddos of ours are rarely sick, very rare, and haven't been on antibiotics for years and years. They just don't have that in their system. We start to feeling a little bit ill or something's going around at school, we just eat more. It has a nutrition label on the back. If you flip over the product, it carries a nutrition label because it's simply food. So if we're getting to feel yucky, we just eat more, which is a blessing. So that's our story. That's how we use Juice Plus post-treatment. However, I do truly wish that I would have had it during his treatment, because I know it makes a huge difference. And Amanda, who's going to be sharing next, she has a super powerful story about her cancer journey, and she was on the product. And it's just amazing to hear the difference of her journey and how it helped her. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda. Thank you for your time, for letting me share. And Amanda, do you want to go ahead and share your awesome story?
Thank you, Natalie. 7 years ago, I went in for my mammogram like I had done every year, and got a call and said, we want you to come back in and do another one. And I went, oh, what's wrong? And they said, well, we just don't like what we see. We just want to check it. So I went back in again. This was in October 7 years ago. And I went back in, and she called me. My gynecologist is a very close friend of mine. And she called me and she said, now, I don't want you to get scared or upset, but we don't like what we see. So we want you to come back in for a biopsy. And I said, what's going on, Kelly? What are you talking about? Well, we've noticed something in your breast and we want to check it out and make sure it's nothing. So I went in and had the biopsy. And it came back, and it's what nobody wants to hear. You have cancer. So I went to Dallas, to Baylor, and I made an arrangements, because I lived 5 hours from Dallas, that when I went up there, I wanted to be examined. And if I had to have, because there was a question if I was going to have surgery at that time. If I was going to have surgery, could I have it the next day and go home that afternoon? Because I was, when I went for the interview, she asked me if I wanted a mastectomy. And I said, well, what stage of cancer do I have? And she said, well, you have abnormal cells in your melt duct, and it's called carcinoma in situ. And, what do you want to do? And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, do you want a mastectomy? And I said, well, would you? And she looked at me and she said, well, no. And I said, then why would I? And so I ended up having a lumpectomy, and I did have it the next day. And she didn't want me to go home just in case there was a problem, because I was 5 hours away from her. And so I stayed, and then I went home the next day, and I had to go back in 2 weeks for my post-op surgery checkup. And I did. And my friend at home, my doctor at home said, Amanda, they're just going to take it out and it's not going to be a big deal. And that's going to be it. It's going to be over. So I go back for my, post-surgery, and she looks at me and she said, well, we got it all. Everything looks great. You look wonderful. And, but you need 33 rounds of radiation. And I went, I need what? She said, yes. And I said, but why do I need radiation? And she said, well, it's protocol. And I said, what do you mean it's protocol? And she said, that's what we do. And I said, so I have to come up here for 33 rounds of radiation? And she said, no, I'm sending you to San Angelo, because the radiation machine is just like mine here at the hospital. And that would be, silly for me to drive up there. So I'll go to San Angelo. In my first meeting with the doctor, they told me that I want you to understand something. This is going to be the worst sunburn you've ever had in your entire life. You are not going to wear a bra. You are not going to want to wear a shirt. In fact, when you're at home, you're going to probably go without anything on you, because it's going to hurt so bad. And I mean, you're just sitting there going, gosh, this sounds like fun, doesn't it? And so you get prepared and you go in, and my radiation was what they called localized. I mean, it was on that spot. And I mean, it wasn't the size of a 50-cent piece, if it was even that big. I bet it was littler than that. So you take the first one, you don't feel anything. And I go and he told me after my second to third treatment, I would have to have somebody drive me to town, because I'm going to be too tired. It's going to wear me out. Now, I want to back up a little bit. I had been on Juice Plus for 9 years at this point. I had been feeding my body with good whole nutrition, good plant powders. And I was I'm not a perfect eater, but I had already started this journey of taking care of myself. So I had my second treatment, I had my third treatment, and I had to go every Tuesday, and I re-met with the doctor, and he examined me. And after my fourth treatment, he said, well, gosh, your skin looks amazing. And I didn't say anything. I just kept going. And then on my fifth treatment, nothing happened. But see, I had been taking 8 of the fruit, 8 of the vegetable, and 8 of the berry every single day. A normal dose is 2, 2, and 2, but I had been doing 8. And we know that the lipine in the vegetable and then something in the berry will help your skin from burning. So I just kept going along, and I'm halfway through, like at 15, nothing. I'm bopping out of there just like I do every single day. I bop right back in. And my last treatment was on Good Friday, which is so ironic. And I mean, I never did anything. I never burned. I could have played golf every day. In fact, I went shopping every single day. And because I lived out, I'd do little errands, and I could play golf every single day if I wanted to. My last treatment, when I was walking out, the receptionist looked at me and said, Amanda, no one walks out of this cancer treatment center, much less walks in like you do every single day. What is your secret? And I said, my secret are these wonderful plant foods, fruit, vegetables, and berries that are called Juice Plus. And I will never be without them. My entire family's on them. And it's been 7 years. This December, I had surgery, and I'm cancer-free, and I just keep going along like I've always, and I'll always be on this product. It's an amazing product. My entire family, my grandchildren have been born on it. all of us. And so we're blessed. We're very healthy. And now I'd love to introduce Feather, my dear, dear friend. I think the world of her, and her story is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, so much. I always love hearing your story. It's so amazing. And I can relate to the radiation part of her story. So when I was 15, I'm rocking along being a normal 15-year-old kid, and I noticed a lump. It looked like I was literally growing a third boob. It just like right here on my chest, just overnight popped up. And of course I freak out, scream like that blood curdling scream, calling for my mom. And she thinks, Lord only knows what she thought happened, but she comes running in there. We had no clue it was. We went and saw a primary physician clinic or whatever, and they said it's a sebaceous cyst, gave me antibiotics, a list of foods to stay away from. I wouldn't do anything about it unless it was for cosmetic reasons. 2 weeks later, it was still there, it hadn't gone down. So we went back and saw a different doctor. He said the same thing. And this is in November of 93. And so February of 94, or my mom finally called a surgeon to have it removed, because summer was me coming around. I was 15. I don't want this like cyst popping out of my chest. It looks crazy. And 15, that's like huge. It's, you're very self-conscious. And so we finally get in to see a surgeon in February, and he feels of it. And he asks my mom 3 or 4 times, what did they say this was? And I've never watched color drain from anyone's face, much less a doctor's face. And he said, I don't think that's what it is. So they rushed me to imaging. These people were waiting on me. You don't walk through a door at a diagnostic clinic and them not have to wait an hour or longer to get back there. We signed in and they were waiting on me. Did all the CAT scan, all of that, or actually, I don't think it was like a CT scan. Sent me back. They were waiting on me again. Did a biopsy. Went and played at Monahan Sandhills. If you live in West Texas, you know what those are. So let me just have a biopsy and then go play at Sandhills. No big deal. Came back that it was cancer. And they had to remove the tumor. They called it another biopsy, but basically it was just a tumor removal. And then send it off to Mayo Clinic to figure out if it was Hodgkin's lymphoma or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. My grandmother had died from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I'll tell her story a little bit at the end. So when we heard those words, our family was freaking, we were terrified. It comes back as Hodgkin's lymphoma, and as my oncologist put it, if you have to have any cancer, Hodgkin's lymphoma is the cancer you want to have. So they state that it was stage 0 because it was in one place, but it was also stage 4 because it was about so long. It was long and skinny. It started behind my sternum, broke through the chest wall, and I'd had it 6 to 9 months before we discovered it. So that meant 6 months of chemo twice a month, the first and second Monday of every month, 2 different treatments. The first one, they gave me Ativan. I was like their entertainment for the afternoon. It like I was drunk. The second was not so fun. They had to give me Benadryl. It was the equivalent of 4 pills of Benadryl. And so that was for 6 months. And then for 3 weeks out of every month, I had to take 14 oral chemo pills every single day for 3 weeks a month. And then after 6 months of chemo, I had to go through 4 weeks of radiation, 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So 20 rounds of radiation. Lost my hair, lost my confidence, felt horrible. I had 0 appetite. Like they gave me prednisone to make me have an appetite, but I could literally eat the amount of 5 crackers and feel full. And then an hour later, feel like I hadn't eaten in days. So the nutrition, I wasn't able to eat, much less eat nutritious food, because nothing tasted good. Certain things would, but the majority of the stuff didn't even taste good. And so I didn't eat much. I think back to if I had had the nutrition from Juice Plus, how different that journey would have been. I was blessed. I was extremely blessed that it was not a rough cancer story. The Zofran they gave me, I didn't get nauseous. I didn't have to deal with any of the vomiting, but I was exhausted all the time. I got sick all the time. I got shingles. I had to have shots for my white blood cell counts. I had to have blood transfusions. It wasn't fun. I mean, it was awful. And I know had I had the Juice Plus, I had the nutrition from Juice Plus, at least I would have been able to get some kind of nutrition in my body, and I probably would have been dancing out of the radiologist office on my last radiation treatment. And so that is mine. Fast forward a few years, I ended up with depression. My immune system was horrible. Anytime I didn't get enough sleep, I would catch anything that was going around and catch it quick. I was sick all the time and tired all the time. When I did discover Juice Plus and I started taking it, my immune system is stronger than it's ever been. As long as I get enough sleep and I also eat the right foods. We can take Juice Plus and we can still eat junk. The Juice Plus is going to help protect our body, but it needs the support of the additional nutritious whole food diet as well. And I know that. I've known that my entire life because, like I said, my grandmother had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. She was diagnosed in 1972. No, 1976. And she went to MD Anderson for one treatment. They gave her medication to take, came back. She wasn't having any symptoms. And the doctor said, so you think it's what you're doing and not what we're doing. So they changed up her medication just to make her have symptoms where, we really don't know why he did it, but he did it. She didn't fill those prescriptions and she never went back. She lived for 11 years. She died in 1987. They gave her 6 months without chemo. All she did was have a garden in her backyard, ate all whole food nutrition, no animal proteins, no dairy, no sugar, no gluten. And she took a supplement, a company that had this that she sold, and she owned a health food store too. So she knew all the research. She knew all about whole food nutrition. So she took the supplement and I got to actually know my grandmother because she was diagnosed 2 years before I was even born. So had it not been for that whole food nutrition that she knew her body needed to live with cancer for 12 years, I would have never known my grandmother. And now I have wonderful memories of her. And so I know that what the food we put in our bodies plays a huge role in our life and in our health. And that is why I will share forever. This journey has been amazing for me. It's changed me completely, not just health-wise, not just physical health, but mental health as well, and emotional health. There's nothing like it. So if you have heard anything tonight that has struck a chord with you, that has made you feel something, or maybe someone came to mind that you think they need to hear this or they need to see this, share this video with them. Get with a person who invited you or who shared it with you and have a conversation. You can do 3 things. You can think, this is great information. If I ever think of anyone, or if I ever feel like I need it, I'll reach back out. Or you can be like, hey, this is for me. I need to get on this product. I'm ready to order. Or you can be like what I did and jump all in head first, get on the product and join the business. Because if it's something you really believe in, trust me, you're going to want to share it with the world. And if you're going to share it with people, why not do it for a living? So we hope you have enjoyed spending the last 30 minutes with us and hearing these great stories. And again, if you have any questions, if you're watching this on replay on Facebook, put your questions in the comment. We'd love to reach out to you. We'd love to have a conversation with you. So hope everyone has a great weekend, and we won't be on next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving, but we will be back on December 1st, I think, the following Thursday, in 2 weeks from today, with another wonderful, with some more wonderful stories. So have a great night. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanksgiving, guys.
Yes.
Thanks,
happy Thanksgiving.
Feather.
You're welcome. Thank you, Natalie.